Ukrainian officials, soldiers and residents gathered to mark 3 years since Ukrainian forces retook the town of Bucha. According to Assosicted Press, Russian troops quickly occupied Bucha after invading Ukraine and stayed for about a month. When Ukrainian troops retook the town, they found what became known as the epicentre of the war's atrocities. Mass graves of civilians were discovered and thousands of war crimes were documented after it was retaken in March 2022. This year's commemoration was overshadowed by political developments, with many Ukrainians expressing displeasure at the state of ceasefire negotiations with Russia. According to Ukrainian government and military analysts, Russian forces are preparing to launch a fresh military offensive in the coming weeks to maximize pressure on Kiev and strengthen the Kremlin's negotiating position in ceasefire talks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenski has accused Russia of prolonging ceasefire talks in a bid to buy time and take more territory from Ukraine. One soldier at the memorial in Bucha was dead against any compromise in negotiations with Russia. "I buried so many guys, my fighters. What did they fight for? To give away these territories? It's written in our constitution that this is our territory," said soldier Iyerl Vudin. Are we supposed to dishonor our constitution? And give all this to the enemy? So I say no. By no means.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
306 захисників і захисниць за період війни віддали своє найцінніше, віддали своє життя. І сьогодні цілий день фактично заходів в Бучанській громаді, але ми розпочинаємо з алеї героїв на центральному кладовищі.
Ми віддали все, що у нас було. І тепер ще віддати, от, як вони кажуть, корисні копалини, угоду давайте укладати, нафту, газ, такі от різні поки що на такому рівні обговорюють, а мені це дуже не подобається. Тому що світ повинен зрозуміти, що ще світ нам винен, фактично. Тому що ми чому цей фашизм ми зупинили ціною життів оцих, хто похований тут, і тих, хто зараз тримає фронт там. І фактично з нас ще вимагати жертви, що віддайте щось нам, укладіть з нами угоду, замість того, щоб тиснути на агресора і звертати увагу, що це агресор винен, Росія винна. І з Росії потрібно питати, і на неї потрібно тиснути. Вони тиснуть на жертву, на нас. Це дуже неприємно, це дуже боляче для нас.
Ярослава. А мене не діло?
Боже великий єдиний.
У нас столько ребят, я похоронил, своих бойцов. Как? За что они воевали? Чтобы отдать вот эти территории. У нас в Конституции записано, что это наши территории. Это что, мы должны сганьбить нашу Конституцию и это самое, и отдать вот это врагу, это все. Тому я считаю, что нет. Нет. Ни в коем разе.
Упокой душі спочилих рабів твоїх, всіх вбитих і закатованих.
Саме душі рабів твоїх упокой, і нині повсякчас на віки днів.
Для нас дуже важливо не просто перегорнути сторінку, ніби цього не було, а дуже важливо, щоб була справедливість. Покарання не для того, що ми такі злопам'яті і хочемо мститися, але, власне, щоб не було помсти. у тих родичів, які знають конкретно росіян, номери телефонів тих росіян, вони їх опізнали, хто був тут, щоб їм не мститися, щоб було мир в серці в цих людей, дуже важливо, щоб злочини були засуджені.
Representatives of the Russian elite do not expect the war in Ukraine to end soon after the start of negotiations between Moscow and Washington, high-ranking officials told Fari Daily. According to them, Russian President Vladimir Putin believes that he understands the character of US President Donald Trump well and can persuade him to end the war on Russia's terms. But Putin is also ready to wage war for 100 years. Putin's idea is to wait until Ukraine collapses, said the publication's interlocutor familiar with negotiations. At the same time, he added that this idea is not so stupid. Representatives of the Russian government as a whole did not expect Trump to take such a pro-Russian position. However, now they fear that the American president may set a trap. The situation is unpredictable. He can explode at any moment. I am very afraid of Trump's radical behavior, said the source who has worked with Putin for over 20 years. He believes that Trump is pursuing his own interests and that if the negotiations with Moscow disappoint him, Russian-American relations could get even worse. Meanwhile, while Putin is focused on the negotiations with the United States, ordinary political life in Russia has practically come to a standstill as officials at all levels are waiting for the results of the peace dialogue, Fari Daily notes. Even the work in the Russian parliament has slowed down in the conditions of uncertainty. Fewer laws are being passed, and deputies refuse to comment on foreign policy. It has become quiet everywhere in domestic politics, confirmed one of the State Duma deputies. The current situation in Russia is similar to what it was in the months before the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Fari Daily's sources note. Everyone is trying to guess what is going on in Putin's head. Either he is not telling anyone anything, or he is telling everyone different things, said a source close to the US-Russian negotiations. Previously, participants in a closed meeting with Putin, which took place on March the 18th, as part of the Congress of the Russian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs, said that the president warned major businessmen that a quick settlement of the conflict in Ukraine is not expected. He also urged them not to hope for a quick lifting of sanctions. According to Kommersant, Putin told businessmen that he demanded that the Crimea and 4 regions of Ukraine occupied during the war be officially recognized as Russian. At the same time, according to the publication, he made it clear that if Kiev does not agree to these conditions, then Russia may launch an offensive on Odessa and other territories of Ukraine. Sources of the Moscow Times previously said that Putin was counting on delaying peace talks on Ukraine in order to seize as many territories as possible. Time is now on our side, and we will try to make the most of it, noted one of the Russian diplomats.